How do you manage a massive team of survivors in Into the Dead Our Darkest Days? So managing a large team is way harder than managing a small team, but there can be huge advantages to having a large team. So let's go over the pros and cons briefly of if you should have a bunch of survivors or not. So one of the biggest pros is you have expendable people. You can send in people you don't care about, especially people with bad passives, that if you just want to attack an area, you can do that quote unquote safely because you're risking people that do not matter. Now, Lester is the perfect example of this. He has bad back, which is one of the worst passives in the game. He has deep sleeper, which doesn't really matter. He gains more rest. And then he has determined. So these things don't matter for combat and exploration. Deep sleeper is okay, bad back is bad. But he is the perfect expendable unit that can be sent off into an extremely dangerous area. And if you get overwhelmed, if you make a mistake, if he dies, as long as you go back and get whatever items you lose, whether it be like a gun or some valuable melee weapon, that's totally fine. So one of the big advantages is you have expendable units. One of the other advantages is if you have enough resources to plant, like to use the garden, to use distillery, to use water creation, to scavenge, to craft, and so on, you can assign people to a bunch of different things, so you have more manpower. Now, the biggest downside of having too many units is you consume way more resources, and people are constantly fighting each other for beds, for food, and for things to do in a lot of cases. So you might have too many people just sitting around. But in this video, I'm going to show you how to make use of as many people as possible while maintaining a large team. All right, so the first thing you have to do is you have to manage conditions. So even if a unit's expendable, I still recommend you maintain them. So in the case of Hudson here, we could pop a coffee and send him out, or we could have him go to bed. So in this case, we're gonna pop a coffee and we're gonna send him out. Now, one thing to note is that you can actually have up to 3 people explore a day. So if I wanna go explore one of the most dangerous regions in the game, Mitcham Powell Plaza, let's go send an expendable unit there. Now, I am going to send my revolver out, which is my best weapon right now. I'll send him out with maybe 6 or 12 shots, maybe a weapon that's decent for stealth, and then a weapon that's like good for open combat, and he will go have a good time. Actually, because I know that region, what we're going to do, let's do 12 shots, a sword, a melee, and then we want to send him out with, I would say, 3 lockpicks. Now, I already know this region has like a ton of locked areas. We'll send him out with a bolt cutter as well. And then what we'll do is we'll take another expendable unit. Not Miguel. Miguel's actually decent. Let's have him manage his states. Now, you can have them drink alcohol before they lose their mind. So right now he needs a lot of things fixed. This can become an issue. You want to upgrade your stations to maximum so that when you have to remove several debuffs, it's not the worst thing ever. All right, so he's going to do that. Isabel could go out. She's definitely not one of the expendables. Kirk is also not one of the expendables, so we're going to maintain him. For the most part, you should be sending people to sleep if it makes sense, or to the communal area if it makes sense, especially units that you send out a lot. Now, Frank, he can cook, so I'm going to have him cook. But for your team, you want a cook unit. You want Joe, because Joe scraps the best, so he dismantles the best. He produces more materials. You want a dismantle unit. You want a med kit unit. You want a cook. And you also want Barb, who I think is like one of the best units in the game. So let's look at Barb really quick. So Barb has 2 really good passives. She has Gunsmith. Ranged weapons are cheaper to craft, and it does affect ammo, and I confirmed this. And she also has Whittler. Melee weapons are cheaper to craft. So she is like the ultimate weaponsmith, gunsmith, and her downside is that she loses a little bit of morale from eating vegetables or vegetable meals, but goulash counts as a meat meal, so you can just make goulash, which is 1 meat, 1 bottled water, and 1 vegetable, and she can eat that all day. And goulash is your optimal middle game to end game food anyways. So she basically has no downside at all. You should never send her out, but she essentially makes ammo for cheaper. and can just keep crafting like weapons and ammo for cheaper. She's like the ultimate unit for that reason, for like the base. So we can make like a ton of revolver ammo and then some 9mm. So we have our ammo, melee weapon units. We have our scavenge guy. We have a cook. Miguel's resting. So Isabel is a backpack unit. She has the downside of restores morale slower, but she has the advantage of backpack. So she's a good like unit to explore. Now Joe also has the backpack ability, but he is not as expendable because he can get you more components. But if you want to optimize resources, what you want to do is send 3 people out a day. So if you want to have upwards, like over 6 people on your team, you want to be sending out more than more than 2 at a time. So like 2 to 3 per exploration. And also keep in mind that some of these areas are incredibly dangerous. So you kind of want to send the units to the place that makes the most sense. So like right now, the threat level in this precinct is like near maxed out, and the weapons are 2 out of 3. And I already got the gun here. So I'm not going to send someone to an extremely dangerous region for no reason. So I could send Isabel here, but if I want to have her like follow up someone, I could do that as well. So like I could send her to Mitcham after it's cleared. So that's probably what I'm gonna do long term. And then short term, I could send her to like some other location to like clear up. But I'll send her to RMK. And we'll give her a 9mm, 14 rounds. Because it's 7 in a magazine. And then we'll do, let's do some quiet weapons. So let's do like the Tomahawk. I like to do Tomahawk and Makeshift Bat. I feel like this is a pretty good inventory for most people. And then we'll send her out. I don't think I need lockpicks right now, so I think we're good on that. Kirk is resting. Frank is cooking. Then we want to find all the people who aren't doing anything. So Lester's not doing anything. He just needs to eat. So we'll feed him some food. And then we'll send him out as well. Now, alternatively, I could send Lester to the more dangerous encounter, assuming that I want to keep Isabel alive. So, like, he could either go here or here. This does have a lower threat level. This is, like, the only other option of, like, a place to explore. But we'll go send him to the hospital. We'll also give him a 9mm with 14 rounds. So 14 rounds is if you expect to be in, like, an extended fight with a lot of zombies. And Tomahawk, Makeshift Bat is just like your stealth weapon and then your open fight weapon. Okay, so everyone is assigned except for Daryl. So Daryl needs something to do. Now, when you run out of things to do, so he can always sleep. He can communal, or he can barricade. And if I want him to not have a debuff, I can pop a coffee and an alcohol to, like, reduce the debuffs. He could also distill. So we have several different things he can do. This is one of the advantages of having a large team, is you usually have like 1 to 2 units that's left over. Now, if you're in a good base that has like distillery, that has the bottled water thing, like the water collector or the garden, you can throw in units to then start snowballing your resources even further. So if you're having 3 people explore a day, you're gonna end up with a ton of excess resources. So we'll have him do alcohol. Create that alcohol. We could also have him barricade, so that's an alternative. If we only really need 2 explorers, we could also have someone else barricade instead of sending out a 3rd explorer. But overall, if you want to maintain a large team, expect to be doing multiple explorers per phase. If you do 3 every single time, you will have an abundance of resources and you'll easily be able to max out your base. And as long as people aren't dying all the time, you'll be able to just keep the train moving. But that is it for this one. If you found this useful, definitely drop a comment and let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.